You are watching the Powder Out Podcast.
Hello, everybody.
Right.
Happy
This is the
Sunday. Stop it, Michael. Happy Sunday. This is the Powder Out Podcast. This is good old Pop with our hosts. You saw Landfill. Give everybody a hello there.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And then our crazy Canadian, Michael Bolton.
What are you guys up to tonight?
Oh, you look like you're about to go in a white van with candy.
It's halfway through November, motherfucker.
It's just like, I'm sorry. I know this ain't wrestling, but that is just a creepy ass, like Tom Selleck bullshit.
It has to go away the
Magna
1st of December.
PI.
1st of December, this is going away.
There you go. Good. I don't know. Clean shaven Michael might be worse. I don't know. Maybe all Michaels are bad. But no, getting off of Mr. Creepy, we are going to talk about. So, hey, how's everybody's week been? Anything new you all want to talk about? Like I do. Man, Stone Cold dropping the booze for the pot. Hell yeah. Like, I get it. It's bad for him on his brand wise, Michael. I get it. You need to stop with that. If it's for their health, it's good. It doesn't destroy the brand if it's saving them. Like, gross in that you're like, no, you all need to kill yourself because that's what you are. Like, stop it, you asshole.
Is it going to be him who's growing it? Does Austin know that much about cannabis to be getting into the cannabis game?
Hell, he has so much money, he probably just could get people to give him cannabis and put his label on it.
That's what I mean. That's bullshit. Why would he do that? He knows nothing about it.
He's
probably learning.
He probably just endorses a brand and bought stock in a brand. So, what y'all think about Eddie Kingston thinking he's the new Stone Cold of this era?
He kind of is.
No, nobody can be Stone Cold. I think like Stone Cold, The Rock, and The Undertaker at least are the top ones that nobody can be them. You know what I mean?
If you have ever seen
other person, it's like they can't be touched.
If you have ever
did y'all hear about the Indie Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame
from GCW? Hell yeah.
GCW and Orange Crush is sponsoring the new Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame with 3 inductees so far of Jerry Lynn, Sean Waltman, and Homicide.
That's cool. Because that gives the people who are doing the indies a very more feeling that they actually are doing something and they're making an impact, than just grinding every fucking day. Because just like our guest today, it kind of leads right even into that. Somebody who might be in the Indie Hall of Fame one day, right?
Right. And following this guy's career so far, he is one that shoots for the stars, and I have no doubt in years to come he would make it to something like that.
So, do we want to bring on our guest? Michael,
100%.
Who do we have today?
RIka Wildlee.
There we go. Woo!
Hello, fellas.
RIka Wildlee, how you doing?
Yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just coming down
off your spaceship. Like, I want to know. It's like,
the carnival tent.
Okay, at least tell me this. What's your favorite space one? Like Star Wars? Oh my! You got dude. You better be doing acid. You have a fucking spitty shirt. Yeah, I'd fucking die on some give me a couple tabs. Whoa. So okay, instead of drugs, let's just hit it off landfill. What do you want to ask our great guest RIka Wildlee tonight?
RIka Wildlee, start you off. How did RIka Wildlee get its start?
Well, originally I done all kinds of backyard BS, like most wrestling fans have done back in the day. But the RIka Wildlee character as a whole, a couple years back, one of my friends who is also into wrestling, he is now in the UWE with me. We'll talk about that later. But he decided that he was going to try to open up a wrestling federation, and it was called GSW, which is Gold Standard Wrestling. And he was going to try to start that up here in Central Louisiana since there was no wrestling around here. So it's kind of an open market, you know what I mean? But he was trying to do that, and he came to me. We had a little sit down meeting, and he was like, "Hey man, I know you're into wrestling. You've got some experience in it. Would you mind teaching a couple guys until we get a show rolling and we get a card going? We can teach a couple guys how to wrestle and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Sure." He said, "Well, this is what I want you to do." He said, "I want you to go home. I want you to drop every backyard character you've ever had, everything that you've ever done, and I want you to come up with something 100% original." I said, "Original for me or just original in general?" He's like, "Original in general. I don't want anything like it." I was like, "Okay." So I went home and I thought about it and I thought about it and I watched promos and I watched videos and I watched all kinds of stuff on YouTube, looking at different characters and old WCW and all kinds of stuff like that. And originally the RIka character, see, in Dungeons and Dragons, yes, I'm a nerd, but I have a character and his name is Ricochet, and that is where originally the RIka name come from. And it was going to be RIka the Wild Card Lee. RIka the Wild Card Lee. My middle name is Lee, so it was originally going to be that, and I was going to be like a New Orleans voodoo shaman with the top hat and the bones around the top hat and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I was going to do that kind of vibe, and eventually it just turned into more of a jester type character. I had a the tragedy mask, the smile and the frown. I had one of those, and that's originally how the RIka character came. And over time, it just dropped the RIka Wildcard Lee, and it just became RIka Wildlee. So that's basically how that was born.
Oh, that's
Now,
cool.
when you first started wearing your mask, have you ever had anyone in match try to take your mask off?
Yes, every match.
What would happen? Like, what would you do if your mask ever came off? Would it be disrespect, or would it be like a trigger for you to kill someone? Not kill someone, but like
If
when
my
the
mask,
match.
that's one good thing about being mask driven like that and having long hair. If my mask ever came off, I would just basically roll my hair in front of my face and powder out of the ring, and until the referee figured out something to call for the match. You know what I mean? I would do my best to save face, because that's one thing that we try to do here in the business. I mean, I've learned so much. I've been a wrestling fan for over 20 years, and I've learned so much just in the past year that I had no clue about, as far as kayfabe and wrestling in general and how the business works and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I have a whole new respect for it as a fan and as a part of it now.
Hey, man, that's so I kind of just want to jump in. I caught something on the hand there. So you're married. Do you have
Yeah.
like kids you have to deal with? Because I know having to like do comedy or things with the family is hard. So how is that doing wrestling with
At
family?
first, I'm not going to lie, when I was going into training and going into school and having to deal with my son in the evenings, because my son, he'll be 14 in December. So, I mean, he's not small. I've only got the one. And,
But still a teenager though.
oh, yeah, which unfortunately he doesn't live with me full time. So it makes it easy on my part to, do what I'm doing and also work and deal with him and get him what he needs and all that kind of stuff. So, and he's old enough now, he can kind of do his own thing. And, teenagers, man, they don't want to hang out with dad.
No, not really. Unless you have the car keys.
Or I can get him free into a wrestling event.
Oh,
That's
I bet. Oh yeah. So then kind of to that, would you want your son to get into wrestling? Do you think he would ever want to get to there?
That's the crazy part.
Can you give me water?
up until the time I started training wrestling with the UWE and all of that, up until the time I actually got into the business, my son was head over heels into wrestling. Everything was wrestling all the time. And as soon as I got into it and I thought I could be like, oh my God, son, I'm really wrestling. You know, I'm like really, really doing it. There's a crowd and everything, you know, and he's just like, now he's at the age, he's like, whatever, Dad, that's awesome. Cool. High five. You know, great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They always drop that. You always see more kids in the.
Now, as he gets older, if the passion is there, like I seen when he was younger, and a passion like I had when I was a kid, you may fall out of it for a couple years. We all have at one point or another. But if it's really in your heart to do it, then the door's always open. You know.
Yeah. And you could probably get him into like a good training school or something now.
Well, that's the thing, man, is they've got me training a handful of the new guys, you know, helping the new guys out with learning basic technique. Since the first class has already graduated, there's been 2 other classes come since then. And we've got, I think, 15, 16 people on the current roster, and a handful of them are more newer guys that have a different kind of background. Like one practiced judo before and stuff like that, so he knows throws, he knows that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of whittling him into a wrestler from a martial artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is a change. So let's go back. Landfill. What question you have?
What inspired you to pursue wrestling, and what got you on the track to this wrestling career that you're on now?
Okay, originally, you know, just like we all do, I was one of those kids growing up in the 90s, and I was a flipper. I flipped back from WCW to WWF. I flipped back and forth. I could never choose between the two, you know. So I would catch matches like The Rock and Stone Cold and the Nation of Domination and all that kind of stuff on Raw, and then I would turn over and I would catch matches at like Halloween Havoc and stuff like that. Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, you know, all the lucha style, the really high fly, jumpy stuff. You really didn't see much of that. You had simple high fly moves like Snuka on WWF. Until the Hardys come along, you really didn't see much super jumpy, flippy type stuff. You know what I mean? A lot of it. Now in WCW, you did WCW you did because you had a lot of luchas coming up from Mexico and breaking into the business in America. You know, so it was really polar opposites. You got kind of best of both worlds. So seeing matches, like I said, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, seeing the high fly, the quick takedowns, the technicality of it, the Hurricane Ranas and all that kind of stuff, that is what inspired me to be like, see, growing up, my wife and me talk about this all the time. She's a super nerd about like Marvel and DC and stuff like that. And I'm all about that. But when other kids were playing Batman and Robin and fucking all this other stuff, I was playing Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Juventud Guerrero. You know what I mean? Like,
you had a different aspect of what a hero was.
Yeah, those were my superheroes because they were real. I could watch them. They were actual human beings. They were Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? They were Spider-Man. Everything that Spider-Man could do in a comic, they were really doing in real life. And
I totally agree with that. My hero growing up with Sabu, watching him fucking someone up with barbed wire was just awesome as like 10 years old.
Okay. So we have an actual question here from the audience.
What's up?
From Josh.
What's your current goals?
Well, as a newly broken artist into the wrestling business, my current goals is to get as much exposure as possible, get in front of as many people as possible, get spread throughout social media as big as possible. So once it gets to a point, there will be no doubting that I am out there, that people know my name, that no matter what I do from that point forward, I'll be stuck in history as, you know what I'm saying? I'll be cemented in a spot.
And I mean, it seems like you're getting there. You're putting in the work. I mean, Landfill's told me
what work did it really take to bring RIka Wildlee and the carnival from just a thought to the screens, to action. What was that like?
I've said it once and I'll say it 1,000 times, and I've told professional wrestlers this. I've told legends this. I've told new guys in promo game this, and I'm a firm 110% believer you can take it to the bank. It doesn't matter what you do in it on screen or as character or whatever. If you believe it, they'll believe it, because you believe it so much that they have no choice but to go, he knows exactly what he's talking about. Landfill has seen it in multiple promos that I've done. Before I went on this wrestling journey in actual professional wrestling, when I was doing the promos full time, it got to a point to where I didn't even have to bring up the carnival anymore because everybody else was. I didn't even have to talk about the carnival anymore because every single other person was talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
If you believe it, they have no choice but to. But if you mess up one time, if you let them see through the veil one time, even if it's just simply as breaking a little kayfabe, if you let them see through the veil one time, you've lost them. You've lost them. And
Now over to TikTok now. Your followers. How do you get from TikTok followers to actual paid tickets to your event?
well, I've got links to eventbrite.com. I'm not sure the exact link. I'd have to find it and put it on here, but that's
Like, has it actually worked? Has the TikTok gaining for you worked to sell tickets?
Yeah, well, sell tickets and sell merch and just get the character out there and stuff. Which I mean,
TikTok's
even
big
though
now.
even though the name is RIka Wildlee Official, I don't really post a lot of my RIka stuff on there. I may post a little wrestling here and there, but I don't post a lot in my mask on there because I'm like, I even changed it recently actually, but I just kind of try to keep that to the side, even though the followers are there. I'm more of a RIka fan than actually RIka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hype RIka up. I'm RIka's biggest hype man. There you go.
How did you pick out your mask? Because I feel like that's always like a big thing. Because I'm from Texas, and I know I loved going down to the Riverwalk, and there were people that were
Where are you
hand
from?
sewing those.
Where are you from in Texas?
Huh?
Where are you from in Texas?
Austin, San Antonio region. I lived all through there because I went to college at Texas State.
We'll be going to Marshall, Texas, December 18th.
Oh, that's actually where my mom lives.
Yeah, we'll be going there December 18th.
Well,
You might have to catch that show.
Hey, if you want to do a live interview, I'm more than available. So just let me know.
When? December 18th? That actually might work.
Make it happen.
We'll see.
At the event at the Marshall Civic Center.
Oh, yeah. So
and I'm going
small redneck town.
I'm possibly going against the gatekeeper in a Singapore cane match. So,
Oh man.
So
There
yeah.
we go. Okay.
Now, have you ever been hit with anything like that in a match? Or like what would your training be for a Singapore cane match?
There is no training for a Singapore cane match. I mean, it's just one of those things you just bite the bullet because you know it's going to sting, you know it's going to hurt. If you take the bands off of it and that bamboo opens up, it's going to pinch every time it hits you. It's going to hit, grab, and pull. So it's going to sting, it's going to tear, and it's going to just take probably flesh with it. So it's one of those deals. It's like, really, can you practice that? I mean,
I think going to that's gonna be more of mental preparedness than anything, you know.
I mean, most definitely, 100%. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of. All right, I can do this. Let me just get it over with. You know.
I've always wondered this because I feel like this is a technique. I mean, I have my own techniques to handle pain because I have MS, so I got to deal with it more. But either or on that is get like that bed of nails, honestly, and like laying on like a bed of nails or just even thumbtacks, like just getting out and laying on thumbtack to give
See,
yourself that overall body pain so you can mentally be like, take out the pain, and
well, that's the deal. Is tacks and a bed of nails. The only way they hurt is if it's less surface area. So the less nails there are, the more it hurts. The more nails there are, the bigger surface area, so they got more space to lay down. Now thumbtacks are a whole different animal. You know, like I don't. Maybe eventually one day get into that, but not anytime soon. I'm not looking to get body slammed on thumbtacks.
oh nope, you ain't going that way.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking if I'm going to start bleeding at all in my mask, I'm going to drown. So
Yeah. Do you have different masks? Like, do you ever change, or are you one mask, one guy?
Yes. Well, since I'm just getting started, I've only done 3, going on 4 shows, and one day I may break into getting another mask, but this one's still relatively new, so I've just been wearing it. And
Yeah, you got to get it known with that mask, and then you can change them up.
And correct, you custom designed that mask, correct?
yes, I did. I drew it up, and the thing about it is, man, is I've looked in the indie scene, and I've even looked through this video game, with the current roster that they got going on. We'll talk about that later, but there's so many clown characters. There are so many wrestling clown characters. Okay. And they all have the same, I'm a twisted clown, I'm blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I want to break away from that mold. I don't want people to look at me and go, ooh, ICP. And I don't want people to look at me and go, ooh, just another, creepy clown. No, it's
You're
not
trying to
like
be Joker kind of guy, right?
Well, it's more of I'm a carnival barker. I've seen all kinds of clown characters, but I've seen nobody take that avenue of the carnival, carnival world, and take that avenue and run with it.
Really, yeah.
You got people, the clown characters, and they're just doing the evil clown thing. Big hair and the big bloody face and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, what makes this character more adaptable is the fact that it's so simplistic. There's nothing special about the mask. It's just literally a smile and the eyes. That's it. The simplicity of it is really what makes it, makes it a thing.
And that kind of goes into
what was the idea for the colors?
Yeah.
The idea for the colors, well, honestly, just at first it was the neon, which my neon light has currently bit the dust. That's why I don't have it on, but it does glow in the dark, most of the time, or glows under the neon light really bright. And that was the original, thought process behind that is, even if I have black clothes on or whatever, it is just the mask that pops. So I may look like a floating head, but it's going to be creepy,
Yeah.
But, and that was
goes with your character. So
now, if you were to ever get, like, what would happen if you were to get told you have to lose your title, or vice versa to a match?
Lose my title?
Say if you ever had a title, hypothetically, if you had a title and you get told you have to lose it, how would you take that as a professional?
I have no problem losing it, because nobody's glory lasts forever, man. That's the nature of the beast. It's one of those things you have to. That is so what I've been trying to explain to the UWE as a whole. The only reason a title is what a title is because of the prestige that has been put on it by each person that has held that belt. It is not meant for you to hold it forever. It is meant for you to hold it and bring prestige to it, so the next guy can take it and do the same thing. And that's the whole point. Nobody is going to be able to do this business forever, but it's your job to make sure that when the next guy comes up, whoever it is that they put over you, whoever it is that they pass the belt on to, or whatever, is ready and ready and professional enough to fill your shoes. I'm gonna put it that way: to fill your shoes, do exactly what you did to that title.
It's a good way to see it. I mean, because then you're not like getting overconfident, like, oh my gosh, this is my title, I'm the best there is, and that, and you like,
egos don't belong in this business. Egos don't belong in this business. There's a lot of them. There are, and there's a bunch of cocky people. But that's in every business, though. But in my personal opinion, egos don't belong in this business, because the only reason you have that ego, the only reason you look as good as you look, is because of the guy you're going against, the people you're talking down to. He's the one that makes you look like $1 million, not you. You know what I mean? So there's no need to have an ego.
Yeah, landfill. You got anything?
In your experience, what was the hardest part of tryouts and training? During wrestling school.
The guy who trained me would laugh at this, but it was actually one of the first things you learn in class: running the ropes. I'm so clumsy footed. I could not get my steps right running those ropes, and I was messing my back up. I had bruises all over my back from trying to learn how to run those ropes. Like, matter of fact, it was like a month and a half into class. We had done moved on to like more advanced stuff learning, and I'm still having to come into class every single day. And while everybody else is stretching, I'm running the ropes. I'm running the ropes back and forth, trying to get my steps right. Eventually I learned, and now I'm helping other guys learn how to run the ropes. But as simple as you think that would be, there's a lot of technique to doing it. And if you got any kind of clumsy foot, then it'll definitely come out and show.
Coming from training and wrestling school now to, when you got to your first show, what was going through your mind walking to the ring? What was the feeling and what was going on through your mind going to the ring to your first show straight out of wrestling school?
You want me to tell you what it was? I'm so glad. I'm so happy that I was promoing before this. That's what I was thinking. Because other than being in front of people, I was already comfortable in character. There was the wrestling, yes, I was a little nervous, but as far as going out there and doing what RIka does, being that character and pizzazzy and very out there and charismatic and all that kind of stuff, I was already comfortable doing that. So it just really amped it up, in my opinion. But that's what I was thinking. Like, I'm so glad that I had this character prior to, so I didn't have to try to just become a clown in front of people, for the first time.
Right.
That would be hard.
From there, looking towards the future, what is one wrestler that sticks out in your mind in the entire wrestling universe? It could be indie scene, it can be professional wrestling scene, it could be big names, small names.
Good.
Who would be the one wrestler you would want to go against in a dream match? What would be your dream match?
Wow. Even though, and this isn't current, which I'll give this one too, I would love to face Eddie Guerrero. I know he's passed, but I would love that. But on current roster, I would probably say, just because of the way they built his character in AEW, Darby Allin.
True. That would be an awesome match. I would so like to see you versus Darby.
That would be. Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Go.
What was it like scraping by to make bread meat sandwiches and pro wrestling? In Hamilton, it's $100 a month plus tuition, plus so much more shit. How did you go from trying to get by to pay your dues?
Hustle. I literally, this was my schedule, and Landfill could attest to this. Okay, get up in the morning at about 6:30, get ready by 7, be at work by 8. Get to work at 8, work till 5. I would get off at 5. I would pick my son up. I would drop my son off at my friend's house, and I would go to wrestling school till about 8:30 or 9 in the evening. And it's an hour drive there, and then an hour drive back. So I would get home about 10 o'clock at night, go to bed, wake up the next morning, and do it all over again. And I was doing that 5-6 days a week. Plus, if on the weekends, me and Landfill, sometimes had moving jobs and things like that. So we would go make extra cash and just hustle, man. It was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. And there was times that I went without, but I always made sure my kid had what he needed and I had gas in my truck to make it back to wrestling school. So
there you go. See,
That's fucking
that's
awesome.
what you have when you have passion. That's I love when I hear those stories when it comes from any like artist, I feel like, because honestly I do feel like wrestling it's an art, and I think you all can attest to that
Oh yeah,
like there's an art
100%.
behind this, like skills, there's talent. Like not anybody can just jump up and put on your mask.
right, dude. Right. I mean,
Well, you
like
got
I
to think about it. In Rika's case, and a lot of other cases, you see, it's time. It's not just money. Granted, you're having to work your tail off to try to make ends meet. Pay your bills, make sure your family's taken care of, make sure you got gas truck, make sure your truck's running, pay for your dues at wrestling school. But it's also time away from your family, time away from your friends. And putting yourself in this box of what I got to do to make it.
right.
Yeah, you're giving up a lot more, and that is something that I'm learning here, doing like comedy and all of these things is there's more to give up than just money. Yeah.
I mean, it
And
is, and you can't buy time. You know what I mean? You can't buy back time. Even though my son is as old as he is, he's still only going to be this age one time. But
yeah,
before he gets too old and quits caring, I want to show him as his dad that it don't matter what you want to do. I've been told since I was 8 years old, grow up, get a normal job, because wrestling ain't in the cards, dude. You live in Louisiana, it's just not gonna happen. And here I am, 32 years old, and I'm doing exactly what my 8-year-old self told myself I would do.
and that's amazing. That's where
That
because
is.
they always do say, and so many people always go against them when they're like, you can be whatever you want to be, and they're like, no, you really can't. If you have the passion and the drive, you can do whatever you want. It's just
Oh, yeah.
about, like you said, getting there, going to that wrestling school. Because I've done this. Like I have a gig that I do every Sunday. It's an hour drive there, an hour back, and my Sunday's gone. And it's like, but
Right.
I do it because I want to do that. Even though it's hard on my body, it's tiring, it's away, and that's just awesome to see when other people have that and that feeling. Because I bet now you're hitting your goals and you're like, this shit's actually becoming reality. Like I'm not just sitting there. I'm gonna be a wrestler.
It's
Won't.
crazy. It really is. Every time anything happens, because as a wrestling fan, and I know every wrestling fan has done it at one time or another, has sit there and been like, what's crazy? You know what? Just let me feel how it would feel to have the crowd chant my name, just to get that energy. And I've heard it on 1,000 different WWE and all this kind of stuff. It's like it's a high unlike any other. And I've heard that, but it's true. It's a fact. When you get out there, like time doesn't exist.
Has any of this experience just been beyond what you ever thought of? Now that you're in the ring and now that your character is going to be in a video game,
all of it. Like I said, dude, I've done I've watched wrestling for years. I've done a bunch of backyard stuff, all that, just like every other wrestling fan. But it's everything's so surreal because I thought I knew wrestling. I really thought I knew wrestling prior to coming to the school and learning the actual ins and outs of the business part of it. Because you get in a backyard situation or a backyard ring or whatever, and you think because you're doing stuff you've seen on TV, but when you get in there and you start breaking everything down to the technical level of why these moves are the way they are, why these moves fall into the place that they do, and just the technique, the technicality of it all. It's a dance. It's Broadway with body slams, man. It's a dance.
Yeah.
And it takes.
Oh, it is.
my big thing, then this kind of leads into a question is, do you have people that you can't mesh with? Because I know you have to have a kind of a bond to that person you're in the ring with. You all have to be like knowing what's going on.
Well, that's the thing is, like I said, there's like 15, 16 people in the current roster in the UWE right now, but it's one of those deals. There's everybody at that school has somebody that they just not 100% comfortable with, but they train with everybody. I made sure that when I get in there, it don't matter if it's the smallest guy in the school. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest guy in the school. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to practice something with him, because even if I'm not in the UWE and I go get booked somewhere else, I may not know who I'm wrestling, well, how big that guy is. You know, I've never even seen him wrestle before. And now I'm having to go against him in a match, and I won't have time to train. I won't have time to do anything. I just got to be comfortable with everything. Take it as it comes. You know what I mean?
And
would you ever do a death match?
Would I, or have I?
Would you?
It would have to be something big. It would have to be for a like maybe the big title, or if the price was right, depending on the the booking. Because death, as much as I like watching death matches and all that kind of stuff, I got told this the very first week of class. You've only got so many bumps on your bump card. Every human body only has so many bumps on your bump card. And if you go and waste a bunch of them on a bunch of shit that don't matter, on a match that has no reason behind it or anything, then you're only doing yourself a disfavor. You know,
that's a very good way to put it.
So I want to give you all your last questions from Landfill and Michael, and let's go Landfill. What's your final question you want to hear from RIka?
Well, I got one final question, and then after everybody's done, I do want to hear a little more from RIka Wildlee on one other thing. But big picture, where do you see yourself going? Do you want to pursue bigger, or do you want to stay, kind of indie? Would you want to go to NWA, Impact, WWE, AEW, or would you want to stay within independent promotions and make a name for yourself there?
Well, to be honest, for now, I would definitely stay indies, because there's so much going on between AEW right now. There's a lot, even though AEW is more open to creative freedom, there's a lot of talent that's getting buried, because those are the only two promotions. I'm not going to say buried. I'm just going to say misused, because there's not enough time for everybody. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough time for, even though the roster is so big. That's why so many people is getting cut from WWE, is because there's not enough TV time or whatever, and there's a bunch of people not being used, so they just toss them to the side. And on the indie scene, though, everybody is being used, and it is 100% creative freedom pretty much, and you can really build something here that if you ever do make it there, you've already got it set in stone. You don't have to learn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before I get to the final thing, I'd like to ask, anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Michael.
Oh, I do.
Final thing? Okay.
Oh, yeah. What was your backyard years like? Like, I'm a JCW fan. ICP really brought backyard wrestling into a big aspect in my life. What was your backyard experience?
Well, I'm going to go over two matches that were probably my most hardcore matches, and it was in Jonesville, Louisiana, and it was against a guy named the Mercury Assassin. And we were going in a match, and it was 6 people in the match, and we had 49 9-foot fluorescent light tubes and a bunch of forks and all kinds of mud, and just, it was horrible. But anyway, I ended up getting rushed to the hospital because I had a light tube stabbed through my arm.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was bleeding everywhere. And I ended up getting 15 stitches on one side and 16 stitches on the other. The exit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I done like this right here, because it's like right here. I done this right here, and blood was just squirting. Just.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
As a hardcore wrestling fan, I have to thank you for you shedding your blood to the people in audience that evening.
Yes.
To you, that's all hard work, all like you guys tear, you guys bleed, you guys sweat, you do all of this crazy stuff just for $20 tickets, $5 tickets, $10 tickets. Like, I have to thank you.
Well, that's the thing, man. When that happened, I was I had a guy in a suplex, right? So I had him like basically in a DDT position, and there was another dude that came behind me and hit me over the back with the thing with the light tube, and I threw my arms back to try to block it, and when I did, it went through my arm, and the dude that I had, yeah, I look up and my whole entire arm goes numb, like that tingly feeling you get when it's asleep. Yeah. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, dude, you got to pin me out. And he picks me up. He drops his finishing move, 1, 2, 3, and I leave and go to the hospital.
No shit.
Yeah, I finished the match, and that was all I was worried about. I didn't just leave. I didn't just stop and go and just leave. I let him pick me up, do his finisher, and all that.
And that's like awesome that you are there dying, but you're like, I'm gonna finish this the right way.
Well, they were there to watch us wrestle, not to bitch out and leave. We knew what we were in for when we started the match. So
there you go. Okay, Landfill, you have your final. What you
got?
All right. Where can we here at the Powdered Out Podcast and everyone watching at home keep up following and watching RIka Wildlee and the UWE, and as well as what are some upcoming events?
Okay, well, as far as RIka Wildlee in general, you can go to the RIka Wildlee Facebook page. The link is in the comments on here. The RIka Wildlee Facebook page, that's where you can message me. You can get all your RIka merch. I got T-shirts. I've got all kinds of knickknacks and things. You can get pretty much whatever you want customized. And
what about the mask? Can anybody ever? Are you gonna ever want to sell like copies of your mask?
Well, I thought about that, but I've got to find a someone who will make them in bulk, because it's hard to find somebody who will make multiple masks that I could sell out. I thought about getting those plain white masks, just the plain like white ones, and having everybody in the audience sitting with those white masks. And when the black light hits it, it's just 100 white masks in the audience.
Oh, that would be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick, wouldn't it?
It's like your Fireflies thing.
Pretty much. Same concept, but yeah. But anyway, and the
upcoming shows.
Well, the RIka Wildlee Facebook page, the merch, all that. You can check me out on there. You can go to the UWE page, the United Wrestling Entertainment page, and you can follow all the upcoming events. They do birthday parties on occasion. They do all kinds of different things throughout the company itself. But the next event coming up is in Marshall, Texas, like I said earlier, at the Marshall Civic Center, and December 18th. And there's a bunch of great matches supposed to happen that night, a bunch of great things supposed to happen that night. And we don't currently have a huge following over there because we've only been working like this central area in Louisiana. So we're trying to push all of our content that way. Like we've got some ads on the radio and stuff like that playing in Marshall right now, just getting people prepared to get tickets and things. And
I think it'll go over well. Like I said, I mean, I've only been there a couple times now since that's where my mom teaches, and
we sold out the last 3 shows. We had a show in Alexandria, a show in Gina, and another show in Gina, and we sold out all 3 shows.
Oh,
good. That's good for you guys.
Yeah. So, and hopefully we'll get over that, that good in Marshall. And if that's the case, like last night at the event, we had the Pro Wrestling Illustrated guy who does the pictures for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He was there. They have all kinds of great things happening throughout the UWE. The school is amazing. We're trying to get as much talent as we can. We've got, a couple people at least every other couple weeks trying to come in and train. We've got the first woman coming in to train. So we can start trying to build a female division. And We got all kinds of cool stuff happening. We're trying to get a female referee. You know, that seems to be a thing that's happening a lot nowadays, and I think it would go over and put us aside for most federations. You know what I mean? But as far as me personally, as a man, as a character, as a human, as a wrestler, as a promo artist, as all of that, I'm beyond blessed to be doing what I'm doing at the age that I am and finally getting the chance to live out a childhood dream that I had put on the back burner so long that I didn't ever think it would happen. So,
oh yeah,
there you go. Well,
as my closing remarks, I just like to say, RIka Wildlee, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for coming on the show. I'll be purchasing a RIka Wildlee t-shirt here soon. I'll even purchase another one for when our page hits 2,000 followers. I know our page has been growing, but when we hit 2,000 followers, I will purchase a RIka Wildlee t-shirt and raffle it off once we hit 2,000 members. To help out RIka Wildlee. I'm a big supporter of independent wrestlers. So thank you again for being here. And y'all keep tuning in to everything we got going on here. RIka, anytime you want to drop in, you come on in.
Okay.
Thank you, RIka, for being a part of tonight. You mean a lot to the Powdered Out family. I checked out a couple of your matches. My hat is off to you. You're fucking amazing.
Good night, everyone.